in later. Hi, everyone. This is Nora Armani, and we are on number 8 of our 10 Meet the Filmmakers broadcasts that we do every year because this is a wonderful opportunity for you to meet the filmmakers before the festival kicks in. We are in under a week away from the festival, opening with the red carpet and the opening night film on March 11 at the Lenfest Center for the Arts of the Columbia University. And we are so happy to be able to open the festival in that amazing space, state of the art. You're all going to see it if you are going to be present. So, without further ado, let me just bring on the filmmakers today. They are joining in from different parts of the world, and we are going to ask them in a second where each one is coming in from so they can tell you the stories of their films and a little bit about themselves. Hello, filmmakers. We have Karen, Omar, and Richard. And Omar, we need the title of your film next to your name so we don't keep repeating it. And each time you speak, people know what film we are talking about. So let's start with Karen. We'll take a quick round and everybody should tell us who they are, what the name is. Of course, it's written, but tell us something about you and your film. Let's not go deep into the description of the film at this point because we will come back to it and do it at the more leisurely way. At this point, we just want to go one quick round and introduce everyone. So we've lost somebody here, so I hope they come back. Yes, Karen.
Hello, everybody from wherever in the world you're joining from us from. Thank you so much for joining in. I am Karen Pearlman, and the film that I directed is called Breaking Plates, and it has flown to you, New York City, from Sydney, Australia, which is where I'm speaking to you from tonight, this morning,
Yes, that's
wherever you are.
yeah, everybody is from somewhere. So let's go to Richard because he's also involved with the same film.
Hello, everybody, and thank you so much, Nora. I'm calling from Sydney, Australia, and I'm associated, which is on the unceded Gadigal lands. And I'm the producer and one of the performers from Breaking Plates, directed by Karen.
That's cool. And Omar?
Yes, I'm in New York, and I'm the writer director. I also act in the film Abdo and Saneya.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so everyone, I'm going to throw the next question. We don't need to go in the same order. Whoever wants to jump in can jump in. It is this the question is, why did you make this film? In other words, where did the idea come to you from? And why did you think this was an important story to tell?
Omar, would you like to start? Otherwise, I'll jump in.
Absolutely. Abdo and Saneya came from several places. I think, in essence, it came from my love of silent film. I've always, my parents, they loved Charlie Chaplin. And so we had all these films when I was a child. And I sort of, I grew up watching them. And I think they became a part of a layer in my personality. And so I always had a silent film in me. Because I believe, I love silent film because for me, it's pure cinema. And then without the advent of words, I think filmmakers have to be more innovative to keep the attention of the audience and to tell the story visually. And it was always a challenge, and it was something I had to do. At the other point of inspiration is as an immigrant in the U.S. I remember, I think the main seed for the film came from, I went to a Latin restaurant in Dykeman, and I asked for the dish, and the waiter brought it over. And then I asked him something about the food, and he couldn't speak English. And he went and called the boss, and the boss came and he answered my question. So I told him, this waiter, he can't speak English. How does he live here? How does he work here? Oh, he's like, oh, no, no, I started the same. I said, you started the same? He's like, yeah, yeah, I came here. And now he owned the restaurant, and he was hiring people. So that fascinated me because for me, New York was a monster. It's when I first arrived, it was very intimidating. And I was complaining, and this is too much, and I don't know what. And then I said, what about him? This guy can't even speak English. He's obviously not very well educated. What kind of obstacles is he facing? And I think, yeah, that was the seed. I remember that event. And, I think those two things merged together. Him unable to speak the language, silence. And then this drew my attention. When I started to notice there's a whole invisible layer of immigrants, silent immigrants in American society. You see them in the kitchens, in the storerooms, warehouses. Some of them collect bottles from garbages, and they live and they survive and they struggle against huge obstacles. Yet, they're not very represented. So, it was these three things.
That is so interesting what you are saying, because maybe it's a good opportunity at this point to let the audience, whoever is watching now or later, to know that Abdo and Saneya is a silent film. The characters don't speak, there is no dialogue. At the beginning, you say, oh my God, I'm going to be bored out of my head, but it's not at all the case. You get sucked into it, you get engaged with them and their struggle, and you just go through the end. And it has beautiful music to accompany it. We have to say that as well, so that it's not like you're sitting there completely silent, and beautifully acted. So we'll let the people, the audience, discover. Before we go to Karen and Richard, we have Peter, who just has joined us. And we got let him in, and he can quickly tell us about his film, very short, not the long way, because we took a turn, all of us, and said one word about my film is this and it's about this. And then in the second round, we're going to come back to you so you can go and more elaborate about it.
Okay, I'll be very brief. First of all, good morning, everyone, or good afternoon your time because it's 9 a.m. here in Los Angeles. Uh, I'm glad to be with you, and I'm looking forward to meeting you on the festival. So my film is about immigrants who come um, illegally through the U.S.-Mexico border, and it's not about the political part. It's about the humanity side of how tough this journey is. So the journey starts. Many people would think that the journey would only start from the U.S.-Mexico border, but it's the total opposite. It starts from very far away, like Colombia, Nicaragua, and they take a very, very tough journey. You guys will watch it in the film. And we're just trying to warn people from not to take this journey and try to come to the US in a legal way.
Yeah.
Hopefully, this is brief enough.
We'll
There's
come
a
back
lot of
to you,
details, but we'll talk
Peter.
about it later.
Yeah, we'll
Yep.
come back to you, because the question that you probably missed was, what is the trigger? Why did you think this film was important to make, and how did the idea come to you? So let's go to Karen and Richard, and they're going to tell us about breaking plates. First of all, what plates and why breaking, and what does it mean? So enlighten us.
Well, thank you. I will do my best. So, Breaking Plates is a raucous documentary about the not so silent women of the silent film era. So, thank you, Omar. It's very interesting to hear we're both working on this silent film era. Breaking Plates does have speaking in it, because what I'm doing with Breaking Plates is I'm taking inspiration specifically from the 99 films collected on this DVD set called Cinema's First Nasty Women. So these 99 films are all films directed, performed, created by women who are quite revolutionary. They are wild, they're incorrigible, they create chaos and mayhem, they stand up for themselves. And people often don't think about women in silent film as doing that. We sort of, either they're not there, they're not the leads, or they are in melodramas, or they're damsels being tied to railroad tracks or whatever. So a lot of my work is about women filmmakers in the early 20th century. And what I'm doing with it is very often taking the techniques or the qualities that the women filmmakers innovated with and bringing them into the present to tell their stories. So in Breaking Plates, we actually include a whole lot of clips from this archival film collection, and we kind of throw them at the performers and saying, hey, what could you learn from this? Give this a try, sort of thing. And one thing we learn is that the women in the silent film era were incredibly skilled. They were experts. They could do things that we really cannot do in the present with all of our fancy technology. They did with the analog. They crashed through the floor and popped out the chimney and did things that we would really struggle to do now, except with visual effects. So Breaking Plates in the end tells a story of the slapstick comedians and cross-dressed cowgirls of the early 20th century, and asks the question, what could we learn from you? What did you know? And why are we so much more polite?
Yeah, it's interesting. That's a very interesting way of presenting it. And it's interesting. I can see the links between the people who are on the show today. We have two films that are dealing, one is actually a silent movie, the other one is dealing with the silent movie era. And then we have a commonality between Peter's film and Omar's film, in that Peter deals with the immigrants coming across the border illegally, and the core characters are an Egyptian couple. And also,
Can I say something?
Omar's film is the Egyptian couple. Yeah.
Yes, I wanted to. Now I really feel I'm in the right festival. But I wanted to say something about the festival. It is very rare that when I see the selection of films, I like every single film selected. This is a very, I just had to say that because I usually, I look and a lot of it is like, okay, I've seen this before. This is okay. It's an important social issue, but the filmmaking is not that great. This time, when I looked through the films, I liked every single film. So you're obviously very selective, and you have really great taste.
Thank you. You jumped to the next question before we get a chance to all tell the story. So, Richard, did you want to add something to what Karen already said?
Yeah, look, I just following on Omar. I think congratulations on the festival, and we're really thrilled to be here. I wish we were there in New York with you. It's frustrating. A couple of things I would say. I mean, Karen was pretty eloquent, but I think this whole question, which is sort of the political there are sort of political questions, but dealt with in humorous and playful and sort of sly ways. And the one was, just to reiterate, really, how come women were so much more free and had so much more agency at the beginning of cinema than today, in an era when women are supposed to have more freedom? And that was a question we really asked, and as we were making the film. And interestingly, I have to say, as the film has now come out, it's also become clear that in the world, those freedoms are actually being lessened. And when we were asking it, it was more like a philosophical question, and like, well, people seem to have power and they don't, and now you're actually seeing a world where those freedoms are, in some places actually being contracted. So that's interesting. And I just want to follow up on Omar's point about silent movie characters, because we have this beautiful play in Breaking Plates where the past speaks to the present, and we have silent movie characters who we can't hear what they say. They're talking, but some of the characters in the present can understand them and some can't, which is a source of humor and drama. And I myself play a silent movie character, and which was inspired partly by characters like performers like Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton and Harold Lloyd and stuff. So I think there's a lovely synchronicity there about what can be said in the physical storytelling mode. And I'm really excited to see Omar's film, and I'm sure there's a
that's another thing I really, really pride ourselves in with this festival, is that filmmakers want and wish to see each other's films. And that's to be encouraged. And that's why we give badges to the filmmakers, and they're able to come and see any film they like with their badge, because the idea is also to create collaborations and networking between filmmakers. So let's hear it from Peter. Why did he think this story was important to tell, and when the idea came to him? We're having issues with your... Yeah, are you there? Can you answer? Or are we stuck? You're mute, I think. I can't hear you. Oh, we lost him. He's having issues with the internet. This is terrible. Anyway. All right. So I think the next question, when Peter comes back, we'll have him sidetracked and so on. That's why it's important to come in 10 minutes before the show starts, so that we can check all these things. Anyway. All right. We're not doing brain surgery, so that should be fine. Okay. So thank you so much, Omar, for your kind words about the festival. Because the next question we ask usually at this point is, what brought you to this film festival, and what are you expecting from screening here? So Omar already answered, so maybe Karen and Richard can tell us. And if you have something to add later, Omar, please feel free. Yeah.
Well, I have to say that, first of all, I am incredibly fortunate to have such a brilliant and intuitive and supportive and skilled and expert producer as Richard, because I never have to go through the heartbreak of entering my film into a film festival. Richard does all of that. He scours Film Freeway. He makes the choices. He thinks this festival might be good. This festival might get our film. He enters the festivals, and I never know when it's been entered. And so I never know when it's been rejected. I only know when it's been accepted. Lucky me. So we were thrilled to be accepted for the Socially Relevant Film Festival, which is in my hometown of New York City, just down the street from where we used to live. And we really love the idea that we will be in a dialogue with people, not just about the film form or the film style, but the ideas that motivate the film. But I'll let Richard speak to more why he chose this one.
Thanks, Karen. That's very kind of you. Yeah, look, I think I was definitely drawn to the idea of a socially relevant film festival. And then looking at what you'd done before, it looked really fascinating, and people had endorsed it. It just, I guess it, without wanting to sound too serious, I think that every film is actually, quite political and has ideology embedded in it, whether we know it or not. And we spend a lot of time sort of watching stuff without really thinking about what it is saying to us on a level of what kind of world is a good world, or who is a good person, or what is the right thing to do. And so there's a lot of unconscious ideology in cinema, and I quite like the idea of a festival where that is embraced and acknowledged, without that being like, oh my god, this is going to be just a whole bunch of really heavy documentaries hitting me over the head, telling me something I don't want to know, but more like films that recognize that we live in a complex socio-political world, and that an artwork is a complex socio-political object that comes from and speaks to that world. So that really kind of appealed to me, that just sort of bringing consciousness to the actual nature of filmmaking experience. But as I say, in our case, in any case, it's a very playful film. It raises all sorts of questions about agency
Yes,
and cinema.
you
But
pointed out to something very important, because that's why our festival is not called the Social Justice Film Festival or the Human Rights Film Festival, or more hardcore things like that. And there are festivals who deal with those issues, only that ours is more like on the social end of things. And the reason why I started this festival is because I was getting really upset about the degree of violence and violent filmmaking that is out there. Violence on screen, gratuitous violence, I should say, and other forms of entertainment with explosions and special effects and things that don't really improve on our mankind, on our personhood, or give us anything better than what we already have. So that's where I've decided that maybe it was time to bring on a an alternative form of entertainment, which focused on human interest stories and focused on pressing issues of our times without necessarily getting too heavy. Because if we really talk about all the problems that the world is facing today, it's about time we all took a gun and shot ourselves in the head. It's really, even though I'm anti-gun, but that the only moment when I would say, okay, let's use it, because it is really disgusting. It's really disappointing and hopeless what is going on around us. But we try to make sure that each film, even if it's dealing with very important and deep issues, that each film should kind of talk about it with a silver lining, show us the way, or give us an uplifting point of view at the end, or at the beginning, or in the middle, or whatever. So I really appreciate all your remarks about the festival and what we do. And it's not easy, because so far in the 13 years of our existence, we've been able to screen 800 films from 40 countries, all dealing with social issues of one way or another. So it's a lot of work, a lot of hard work, but I love it. And I am very happy that we have filmmakers like you, because without filmmakers, what is a film festival? Nothing. And I have Peter here. I think he's resolved his issue and he is back now with a better connection, I hope. So, Peter, let's go back to your question that you didn't really get to answer properly. Is where did the idea of this film come to you, and why did you think it was an important story to tell?
So I'm sure you guys have heard all over the news what was going on about specifically an Egyptian family that they had uh, killed, or some of them were killed on the border trying to get to the U.S. from Egypt. I start digging deeper, and I found out there are a lot of people that actually made it here to the U.S. And I spoke to at least 25 of them, or maybe more. And I heard terrible stories, like stories that every single story could be a single film. So I thought this is a good topic to discuss first of all, and a good message to deliver, because filmmaking is, yes, it's about art and entertainment and everything, but if you dedicate the art and entertainment part to deliver a message, that would be great. And I felt this is one of my duties as a filmmaker, is just to deliver a message behind filmmaking and behind this film. It's just to discuss how terrible this journey is. Especially when I spoke to, I would say most of them, they mentioned the same statement, that they didn't know that this journey is that tough. They expected just they're traveling from one airport to another and maybe stay a couple hotels and that's it. But it turns out that no, they travel on foot. They The lucky people are staying in hotels, but most of them are not. They're staying in the wilderness. They facing a lot of wild animals, and they get easily killed, kidnapped, raped. It's a lot of dramatic stories. So that triggered me to work on it. I got almost all the stories that I was told and put in one script. There are some that were very, very tough that you really cannot put in the film. But I got most of it, and started working on the film and starting to deliver the message behind it, that okay, America is land of opportunities. We are enjoying being here, but please, when you decide to come here, do not risk your life. So it's not about any politics. It's about your life is too precious. Do not put your life in danger.
Yeah, it had a very, very strong message, and
Mhm.
unbelievable filming, because you went to all these incredible sceneries and places, and you filmed all these real life situations, and actors who reenacted the whole thing. And yeah, so it's really like we can't wait to see it. So we are doing a special focus on Egyptian artists and Egyptian
Mhm.
cinema in this edition, and the two of you are part of it, Peter and Omar. And we are working with a group of Egyptian advisory committee who is trying to drum up interest and bring people. And hopefully, they can also attend the opening night, because you both will be there. Unfortunately, we won't have Karen and Richard flying in this time. When we get rich and famous as a festival, we will be able to pay airfares for all the filmmakers to attend. At the moment, we are at the mercy of each filmmaker paying their own way, unfortunately. So yeah, so basically, as I was saying, maybe this is a good moment for me to pass the festival information a little bit. So we are going to open the festival on March 11. We have the wonderful, beautiful auditorium of the Lenfest Center for the Arts of Columbia University this year, and that is thanks to a in-kind exchange grant that we also have from West Harlem Development Corporation, one of our sponsors. And the opening night is with red carpet, of course, and at the red carpet, after the red carpet, we have the opening ceremony where we introduce all the filmmakers to the audience, and that's a nice photo opportunity. I take special pride in that moment when all the filmmakers come together, and it's the beginning of the festival. Everyone is happy. We don't know winners or not winners yet, but I keep mentioning there are no winners. If you film, if you are able to complete a film and it is good enough to be in the selection of a festival, that already is being a winner, because it's so hard in this day and age to make a film, with lack of funding, with the lack of resources, and all sorts of obstacles put on our ways as filmmakers. It is not easy. And we are very much aware of all that. So that's the opening night. And then we also have a preview night before that of a selection of shorts which deal with mental health. our films, the short films, are always grouped together into thematic units. Like we have BIPOC over the opening night, Black Indigenous People of Color, three films, one of which deals with the Black experience, the Mexican immigrant experience, and the third one is Native Americans, which are the most important because all of us are immigrants in reality at the end of the day. So that's the opening. And then on March 10, which is the day before, at the preview night, we have the mental health series. Then we go to Cinema Village after the opening on the 11th. And we have disability, family and home, race, religion, and exile. These are the themes of the short film groups. And the 13th to the 15th, we have full days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at Cinema Village with lots of films, wonderful documentaries, narrative features, short films, and sprinkled with meet the filmmakers happy hours that are only for the filmmakers to get to know each other and spend some more quality time with each other. The opening night film is a Spanish, Finnish Spanish co-production by Finnish director Rax Rinikangas, who we had the pleasure of talking to a couple of days ago on our live show. And it's the main protagonist is a Spanish actor played by Spanish actor Eric Frances, is coming specially from Madrid to attend the opening. And humbly, I am also playing the female lead, two of them in it. So I invite you all to come and see the opening film. So the last question, I think everybody's talked about how they came to the festival. Peter, maybe you didn't answer that question. Do you want to say something about it or?
First of all, I want to congratulate you on this amazing festival. And this is not my first time. So last year, I had the pleasure to screen my short film. Unfortunately, I wasn't there, but making sure this year I'll be there. I'll be enjoying the time with you. I've heard about your festival long time ago, and I really wanted to be a part of it because I know that you are about the social films that which most of these films are about delivering a message or like discussing something, not just for entertainment. So I really appreciate your festival, and I'm looking forward to more and more and more years.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm not sure I would have the energy to continue at this rate. I'm like getting tinnitus, getting palpitations in the middle of the night and sweating. Will people come and so on? So, and then
If
at
you
some
allow me to
point,
add something, yeah, if you allowed me to add something else, there's a film that me and Nora worked together on. It's in post production right now. She's playing the lead actress. We're hoping that we premiere it at your festival maybe next year. It's a total different thing. It's a comedy. I'm not gonna say the name right now, but it's something total different. And Nora is an amazing actress. She's very organized and she really knows what she's doing. I really appreciate working with you and
thank
looking
you. It
forward
was
again
fun.
for more films together.
We had a lot of fun. And for the first
Yeah.
time in my life, everything I've done so far is all very dramatic and very deep and so on. And the one with Peter, it was a comedy, like over the top comedy. And I had such a blast, it was amazing. So, one last round, we still have time. If anybody wants to talk about their next project, what are you preparing? If you don't want to divulge any secrets, you can tell us what you had for breakfast. And the Australians haven't had breakfast yet, but
I guess I already did. I already answered this question, right?
all right. So, who wants to follow after Peter?
I will jump in if you'd like me to. So we have a number of projects on the hop, actually. We're very delighted to have just been commissioned by the Dance Camera West Film Festival in Los Angeles, with a funding that's like dinosaur now. They got National Endowment for the Arts funding, amazingly enough, and to make a film that will be I want to say it's not going to be about filmmaker Shirley Clark. It's going to be with filmmaker Shirley Clark. So
Wow.
Shirley Clark, as you may know, was a dancer who turned to an editor, who turned to a director, who made incredibly socially relevant films throughout the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And she died, of course, in 1997, but I've just written a book about her. And through the process of writing a book, I've come to get very excited about her um, unfinished films. So there's a whole bunch of unfinished films in the archive. And what we're hoping to do is to bring together clips from the unfinished films, again, with the contemporary creative people, artists, dancers, actors, and so forth, and think about what she might have been able to do if she'd had the funding and the backing that she needed to finish these films.
Wow, that's very fascinating. Yeah, also sounds like a film very much up our alley. So, and Omar, what are you preparing next?
I just finished a new script, so I'm still going to start the fight. you know, that's a whole other ordeal. But it mainly, I mean, part of what a lot of what I try to do, and this is also in the theater, uh, is I try to widen the narrow keyhole the West looks at the Middle East from. Uh, this is something that's has always frustrated me because also my wife Inji Gamel, who's the lead actress in Abdo and Saneya, is an actress, and she gets auditions, and it's kind of the same script over and over and over, and it is such a narrow perspective of the Middle East, and it always sits on superficial culture clash. That's not to talk about a few years ago when it was, post 9/11 stereotypes that was horrible. Now, the new alternative is, very simplistic, still very simplistic portrayals and limited character arcs. So I really try to create Middle Eastern characters that are complex, and it's not about the superficial culture clash. There's the Middle East has a huge history of rich theater and film that Western audiences can hardly guess at, and so I try and bring some of that complexity into the work I do. So the new film is about. I'm not gonna give away the plot, but it's about
Please.
the theater world. The theater world. It's about Islamophobia. It's about white supremacy, and it's about conspiracy theories and the violence that all that leads to. But yet, it's a comedy.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's so important because I completely understand what you're saying about the characters or the roles that Middle Eastern actors. I'm in even a worse situation than that because I don't look Middle Eastern particularly. I do, but I could pass for, but I'm not your typical immediately recognizable Middle Eastern type. And yet because I speak Arabic and I was born in Egypt and I have all that background, I do get these roles, these auditions, which I never book. Obviously, because I wouldn't cast me. I would cast that other girl with the curly hair and the high cheekbones and the dark skin and so on.
Mm.
But even if I cast her, even if I were cast, it wouldn't be a role I would feel proud to play because it would be a one liner in Arabic. And I'm like, excuse me, you want me to do a self tape to say, thank you very much, see you tomorrow? I mean, there are so many reels of my work on my website. There is like this credits on my IMDb. Go take a look. And if you like it and you think that I correspond to the character, bring me on. But don't put me in a situation of having to spend half a day or a few hours of my time to do a self tape to say a one line. It's really very, very demeaning.
I think that the self tape is for actors worldwide. I know that Richard so frustrated with it. For some reason, they cast him a lot as fisherman. I don't really see it myself. That's the thing that he gets the auditions for. But I think that the roles for women altogether are very tricky. We one of the kind of catchphrases that we really want to say about breaking plates is that if you want to tell a different story, which we do, we want to tell a different story about women and their creativity and their agency in the world, then you have to tell stories differently.
Absolutely. You have to have women tell the stories because we know the story, and Omar like has to tell the story from the point of view of putting the focus on the characters so that they become real characters that people can identify with instead of cardboard caricatures of what people's minds think, or they think this is how a Middle Eastern should be or is, or.
No, I mean it's also even projects that are done by Middle Easterners in the U.S. Unfortunately, I've noticed cater to their agenda because they know that's how they perceive us, and oh, yeah, I'll get the grant that way, and I'll be able to get it works because that's something they can recognize. Uh, Again, a lot of the roles my wife gets is things like the hardworking Muslim mother struggles with her teen daughter because she has a boyfriend she's unable to tell her about. And it's like, guys, this is it's recycled.
Yes.
There was
From
the basketball player who was not fasting in Ramadan. And the Middle East, human beings are not that simplistic. There's a lot more going on inside, and we have a heritage of great dramas, with great human struggles about greed, internal conflict, parental trauma. You have all these, like the representations they get in Western dramas, which are about the internal landscape of human beings, not about how am I going to fast if I'm playing basketball.
or do I wear the veil when I'm playing sports? Or
Yeah, this is ridiculous. It's
yeah,
it's so much more than that. And
absolutely, absolutely. There is all the human range of experiences, and they focus on little elements or things that are from their
right,
point of view. And you're
right,
right. You're right, because 90% of the time with these scripts, there is some assistant, some the director's, second AD or somebody like that who is also Middle Eastern and helping. But instead of saying, wait a minute, this isn't how it should be, they kind of fall into the pattern of what the boss wants.
yeah.
And
And so the West sees us as some kind of uptight culture, and we struggle to fit into the West. Something so
yeah,
small and so irrelevant to the Middle Eastern experience.
the
It's
real
just
to the
a
real
fraction of it. It's a
yeah,
fraction of
to
it.
the
Yeah.
real issues that are going on. And it's funny, the other thing is that a lot of times I get scripts that are not in Arabic, it's written all in English, and sometimes it's like huge chunks of dialogue, and it says in Arabic. And what I'm supposed to translate as well? You know, it's like you're expected to translate and do it in the language. And I'm like, wait a minute, why don't you hire a translator and get me the script in the proper language in which I'm supposed to audition for? Now, SAG has finally wised up and it's forbidden now. If you want a script in a certain language, you have to provide it in that language. But after what? I've had pages and pages, or it's Google translated and it's all wrong and the wrong dialect, and you don't even dare say anything, because if you say something, they get all touchy and feely and, oh my God, no, 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 you're not supposed to open, close your mouth and just stand there, don't run into the furniture and look Middle Eastern. So
By the way, Richard and Karen, Abdo and Saneya is very much a female empowerment story, also.
yeah.
So
Yes.
it's it's right down your alley. I think you will enjoy, and I
Oh,
look very much
wonderful.
forward to watching your wonderful film.
I hope you
Oh,
will. I'm so sorry we can't be there to see yours, but one day.
Yes.
totally.
Well, Peter is again having issues. I don't know. I keep bringing him in and taking him out. I mean, it's really annoying to be doing that. I hope he can resolve it, because the next question and final question with the time that's left is, do you have something absolutely important that you want to communicate or say that you didn't get a chance to up till now? And it's yours. You can take it on.
I think if in answer to that question, and in response to what you were saying earlier, Nora, about the incredibly dark times we're all living through, I think that there was a real, what Breaking Place is really about is taking agency. And it's really about finding a way to contain dissent within unity, to stay in motion, and it the women there, they learn what their power is and they take it. And so I welcome audiences to go and see it. It's a very uplifting film. It's very funny film. It's it's really lovely that you've gathered together people who understand that one way to get an audience engaged is through comedy, and then to get them activated through music and energy and dance and the life that infuses the characters.
And it's screening on Sunday, March 15 at Cinema Village. All the information on all the films, so maybe I'll pass the banner one more time here, is on the website. When you go on the website, ratedsrfilms.org, first of all, on the front page, you'll see all the posters of all the films that we are screening, which are on our online platform right now. The online section kicks in on March 16, after the in-person ends. So we want people first to come to the cinema and then go to their couches, not stay on their couches the whole time. So after the 16th, you can catch some of the films, most of the films online, or come to the cinema, opening night at Lemfest Center on March 11, and Cinema Village downtown, March 13, 14, and 15. And to get the entire schedule, information about the films, tickets, everything else that you need at ratedsrfilms.org. So, anyone else? Last minute words? Something?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
I want to add something. It's gonna be very brief. I like how the three films we talked about today are connected films. They're not just like talking in separate directions. Like, for example, my film and Omar's film are talking about immigration, and Omar's film and Karen's film is talking about women empowerment. So I like how they are all connected. So when you watch these films like one after the other, you feel like you're watching some sort of a series, which gives more empowerment to the message that delivered behind these films. So
Yeah.
um, again, I really admire your selection and the way you're putting things together. It really shows that you're putting on like an organized way, not just like random selection like
Yeah,
some other
yeah.
festivals.
I've been
So yeah,
I lived in Cairo all my life, and before going to college in London and all that, that is, and my not all my life, my the first part of my life, and I've seen the chaos. I know what bazaar means, and I know what chaos means when you go
yeah,
to Cairo. And I felt we don't want our film festival to be like that. So a lot of times we have to not select certain films that are really good, that are talking about very important issues, but somehow do not tie in into that particular edition. And I tell the filmmakers, because they say, "Oh, how come my film wasn't selected? It's so socially relevant." And I'm like, "Of course, nobody's saying it's not, and that's not the reason why it didn't come into the festival program this year. It's only because we are not unlimited. We have a limited period of time, a limited number of slots, and we have to be selective as to what goes in there." And I like the idea of everything sort of tying together so that there is a unity of style and unity of message, if we can say that. So thank you everyone for pointing these wonderful points out. It suddenly makes me feel good that I'm not sleeping enough, that my wrinkles are multiplying as we speak, and but that it's all worth it. It's all for a good cause. So I think we're pretty much done. If anybody wants to say one last thing, please grab the mic.
I
So
guess I was just going to say, sort of picking up on a lot of these things. It sounds to me, I haven't seen all the other films, but I really love the spirit of um, seeing that there's more that can be spoken about with cinema than we just get fed to us as a daily sort of McDonald's type diet of what entertainment is, and with entertainment, as I said earlier, a sort of a certain set of ideas which are pretty limited about what human beings are, and what cultures are, and what is the normal culture, and also that these films are expressing these more rich potential of human beings with a richer idea about what cinema can be. And I
yeah,
know that Karen, what Karen's done with Breaking Plates, and the others sound also quite expansive in that way. Like really, the medium of cinema is very has so much potential to do fascinating things. It doesn't have to fit into exactly these molds where as soon as you start, you know exactly what's going to happen, you know exactly this tone. You basically don't need to watch it after 30 seconds because you know everything already. You just watch it as a kind of sleeping drug. So,
it becomes
um,
so predictable,
yeah,
and the
exactly.
same type of story that keeps turning around, and only the setting is changed. Now it's
Exactly.
happening here, now it's happening there, but it's the same relationship, same people, same story. And I'm like, okay, there are so many really interesting and well deserving stories out there that need to be told. And with one third or one tenth or one whatever of the cost that it takes to make a Hollywood movie today. Let's face it, any given Hollywood movie is such a waste of, mostly. There are some good movies, of course. I'm not dropping everything by I mean, banging everything out of the thing. But the ones that are so wasteful could create three, four socially relevant, important human interest stories out of them with good actors and good directing. So, unfortunately, that's not how the situation is. But we need to fight for that. We need to continue the struggle and make it so that social issue oriented films become the norm, not the exception. Thank you, everyone, so much for being here and for making this another wonderful Meet the Filmmakers edition. It will be posted on our YouTube channel as well as on our Facebook. It's broadcast live on the Facebook page as we speak. And also on our website. The website is taking a little longer because we have to manually, the webmaster has to put them actually there. For now, we have 3 of them posted, but the others are coming. So I'll end the stream